Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today's another religious vid because I have no idea what else to talk about, and things didn't go the way they wanted. I wanted to do a character episode first and then a religious video, but I couldn't do that because I don't have the stuff necessary yet. Well, I just need one thing, but welcome back to my channel, my subjects. Today is the story of Joseph, which I've done some research on. Did I write anything down? No. So, Joseph is, to summarize the story, Joseph is, again, another person who is unique in the Bible in the ways of the gift that God gave him. Hold on, give me a moment. Sorry, it's really warm in here. Joseph was the son of Jacob. I don't remember who Jacob is, but he's a very important character in the Bible. Joseph follows the long line of a very unique gift granted to him by God, which most people in the Bible have their own unique gifts that were given to God, given by God. For example, Solomon got wisdom. Joseph got what I'm about to talk about. Moses was able to split the seas. And, if he put his arms up like this, he could win any battle as long as he kept his arms up like this. Even if they were outnumbered or outpowered. Samson wasn't the only... Samson got strength, I think. Then again, I think David also got... I don't know if David is actually from, Bible. Listen, I don't do a lot of research. Whether David is a part of the Bible or not, I don't know. But yeah. Which is a person who also got strength like Samson. Although, unlike Samson, I don't know if David lost his strength or not. Then again, I don't know if he's a Bible character. A person written about in the Bible. I call people characters, alright? Leave me be, okay? I'm over here. If I were to read a history book and I was like, you know what? My favorite character is Abraham Lincoln, okay? It's not exclusive to just the Bible, alright? Leave me be. It's warm in here. Sorry. So, Joseph was, I guess, a prophet. He was given the unique gift from God, one of the only people in the Bible, like Solomon, to have a unique gift, or I guess a superpower unique to him. I call them superpowers, alright? Solomon got wisdom. Joseph, on the other hand, got the power to decipher dreams. Like, if you had a dream or something, he would be able to, like that, to be like, that dream means this, that, this, that, this, that, this. That dream you had last night means, let's see, you're straying away from God. God wants you to walk back on his path. You haven't read your Bible in 5 weeks. Well, then, get to it. Read the Bible, He basically was like, your dream means something. That God's gonna give you, like, this and that. Take away this and that. And be like, your dream is actually a symptom of guilt for all the sin you've committed without praying for forgiveness, or I guess offering a sacrifice for forgiveness, because Jesus wasn't born yet at the time of Joseph. So we were going by Old Testament laws, which basically means prayer wasn't answered unless you had a sacrifice with you, you know? Another thing, Joseph, basically his story went like this. He had like 7 brothers. Jacob was like, you know what, Joseph? You're my favorite. And Joseph was like, all right. And then Jacob was like, no. You're my favorite. And I was like, and then the brothers were like, favoritism. We hate him. You know what we're going to do? We're going to fake his death and sell him as a, can I say this word on YouTube? Probably not. As a SLAVE. I think that's how it's spelled. 1920s America, I guess. I don't know. I'm not good at history, man. I don't know what years. You know. Was it 1930s? I think it's somewhere near the 19... Because World War II happened somewhere in the 1940s? No, that was racism. Never mind. Jim Crow laws. You know the Jim Crow... No, that's still not... That's, again, racism, not... Why can't I remember anything? 1820s America? I don't know, man. I don't know. A history professor can look at this and be like, you got everything wrong. Actually, you know what? I'll just say the word. Slavery didn't end until 1999. Yeah? I don't know. Okay, I'm not a history professor. Nor a Christian professor either, alright? I'm doing the best I can. So, let me put my glasses back on. So, their brothers were like, let's sell him. Fake his death. Father, our brother's dead. They were like, and his father was like, no. Eventually, this stuff happens. And then the pharaoh's wife or something, or, you know, a noble's wife or something is like, I like you. Joseph's like, but I don't like you. No. But you don't understand. I like you. And he's like, and she was like, guards, arrest this man for not reciprocating my feelings. I don't know what the word is. And he was basically thrown in prison. Joseph was locked up, you know, harmonica in hand. Then one guy is like, you know, I had a dream, right? And then Joseph was like, oh, you had a dream. Well, guess what? My God can decipher dreams and tell me what they mean, and I can tell you what they mean, what your dream means. And it was like, all right, bet. And he basically tells him his story, like his dream, and then Joseph is like, okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna become right hand of the king again. You're gonna be released from this prison. You're gonna become right hand of the king. This and this, that and this, right? And then it's like, bet. It was like, whoopee, hot dog. And eventually he was let out. A couple years later, he's like, you know what? This guy in prison did me a solid. I don't know how I forgot about him, but now I remember him. And you know what? Hey, Pharaoh. So there's this, because the Pharaoh's like, I need someone to decipher my dream, because this dream won't leave my head, and I need someone to decipher it and tell me what it means. If people aren't able to, off with their heads or something like that. I don't know how the Pharaoh was back then. That Pharaoh was, but he seemed like a nice person, at least towards the Israelites, a lot more than, his predecessor. Not his predecessor, his successor, the person that comes after him. The Pharaoh after him, not before him, after him. He dies, and then another Pharaoh's like, okay, kill all the Israelites. Well, it's not like that, but he's pretty bad. And so, anywho, he's like, decipher my dream. And they're like, okay, I don't understand any of this. Okay, off to jail. And then the right hand of the king, who remembers Joseph, is like, hey, I was in prison a couple years ago. I told this guy my dream, and he said that his God can decipher any dream. Tell him what it means, and then he can tell you what it means. And then the Pharaoh was like, all right, bet, free that man. And, guards walk up to Joseph and like, okay, the Pharaoh needs you. I know I called him a king, but he's Pharaoh. Pharaoh, king, same thing. They're both in charge, basically. Pharaoh needs you to decipher a dream. You're out. You're free. Joseph's like, all right. He walks out. He's like, I heard that you can decipher dreams. And Joseph is like, yes, my God can decipher any dream. Tell me what it means, and then I can tell you what it means. And Pharaoh's like, all right. He tells him his dream. And then Joseph is like, so, basically what's going to happen is there will be 7 years of no harvests and 7 years of very good harvests. Basically meaning that there will be 7 years of really good farming and 7 years of really not good farming, which means not a lot of food will be produced. So Joseph's basically like, so there will be 7 years of good food, of like great food, great harvesting, and there will be 7 years of bad harvesting. What you should do is stockpile food, so that way when the 7 years of bad harvesting will happen, you can go get past those 7 years. And then the Pharaoh was like, you're hired. And Joseph was like, hired for what? You are my right hand man. Well, you are my left hand man, or something like that. It's like, all right, bet. Then Joseph's brothers walk in. Pharaoh, blah blah blah. They walk in and they're like, Joseph notices them. They don't know him. They don't recognize him. Joseph is like, time to get my get back. Wait, no. Revenge is a bad thing. Okay, how about this? I will test them on how good of people they truly have become. So, he invites them to dinner. He then takes a golden cup, puts it in the bag of the youngest brother. They send them home. They immediately notice the cup or something like that. Joseph's like, okay, so you can either give me your brother for stealing a royal cup or something. And then they're like, no, please don't take our brother. We already lost a brother, please. And Joseph's like, all right, so you have changed. Wait, what? And the brothers are like, yeah, we have changed. Wait, what? And Joseph's like, it's me, Joseph. And they look at him and they're like, we thought you were dead. And he's like, well, I'm alive. You know, and they're happy to see him, right? He's like, how's father doing? And then they're like, oh, he's old, but alive. So Joseph goes, is like, Pharaoh, can I visit my dad? And Pharaoh's like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, all right. He walks over to his father, who I think is bedridden. He walks up to him. Then Jacob, his father, notices him and is like, Joseph, is that you, my boy? And Joseph's like, yeah, can you stop? And Jacob's like, I thought you were dead. Well, so did my brothers. And you know, that's it. Absolute cinema, you know? That's it. Then all just other stuff happens. Pharaoh eventually dies. Joseph eventually dies. New Pharaoh takes up the throne. It's like, you know what is a good idea? I'm going to torture all the Israelites. And I'm going to kill all, children? Specifically young men. And then, you know, the story of Moses happens. Which, I think Joseph was an Israelite. I could be wrong, but yeah, he was an Israelite, from what I remember. So, now that his story's out of the way, Joseph's story is kind of interesting, as he's one of the, if not one of, or not, or one of the, or only person who's like stays loyal to God to the very end, and he still, of course, has his ability to decipher dreams. He never loses it. He never questions. Like, unlike Samson or Solomon, with Samson was able to lost his strength for a little bit, regained it, and you know. And with Solomon, when God was like, you know what, I'm about to teach this man a lesson. With Joseph, he was one of the, if not the only person in the Bible, other than like Moses, because Moses also defiled God at one point. Because, you know, God asked him, you know, give him water, don't hit the rock. Moses is like, but Joseph is like the only person, one of the only people whose gifts that were given to him by God, he not only got to keep, but God never was like, you know what, I don't like what you're doing. Can you please stop? And again, every time someone asked him, can you decipher dreams? He wasn't like, yes, I can. He was like, my God can decipher dreams. He can tell me what they mean. And then I can tell you what they mean, right? He was never, yes, I can decipher dreams. No, he was like, no, my God can decipher dreams. He just tells me what they mean. And then it's my choice whether I want to share that information or not. And he always chooses to share that information. He was also the one, I think, if I remember correctly, he was also the one that dreamed about... No, it was the Pharaoh. Someone in the Bible dreamed about angels climbing up and down a ladder. You know? I think it was Joseph. I could be completely wrong. So yeah, other than that, great story all around. Joseph's story is really good and one of my many favorites. Like, of course, my ultimate favorite has to be the adulterous woman, just because It's a really good story. It's a short one, yes, but a really good story. Which I think I already told in full. I don't remember. It's a really short story. You should listen to it. And there's also just other stories I love. Like Samson's story. I like his story. Yeah, sure, it's filled with a lot of, of like questions of like, why would you do this? Why? But, at the same time, he went out with a bang, with a cold line, with some tenacity, not tenacity, some bad, I can't curse, but, he was a bad, because the guy, I know, I already said this in the story, so no, don't get sidetracked. Joseph had a really good story, really good ending. Everything is good all around. Sure, Joseph didn't say a really cool line, like in the lines of, Lord Almighty, please give me strength one last time, that I may take down these sinners with me. Yeah. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. Stop. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is, Joseph's story is pretty cool, and I like it. One of my many favorite stories from the Bible. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Next time on this religious video, I don't know who I'm gonna talk about next. Maybe Simon, if I can remember who Simon is. I kind of remember him, kind of not. So yeah, and that. Have a wonderful evening, morning, and or night. I'll see you whenever I'm done hibernating. Goodbye, my subjects. Ow! I'm fine. Peace.